Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I am your host, Josiah, aka Mauler67. And with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got the Fright Night Man, my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty frightened.
Pretty good, pretty frightened.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Oh man, I have came down with the sickness. I actually started having a sore throat today this morning, and it just evolved into like a stiffy nose and stuff. So I decided to test myself. Nothing came up, so I'm gonna try tomorrow, just to make sure. But it could also be that I have been, when I go to bed, I was always taught to like wear a t-shirt, and last night it was so hot that I took it off, and then I was cold all night. So maybe that's what the sore throat's from. But then the individual I work with, he actually has it too. So hopefully
he has soreness. He has like sore throat and whatnot, or he has
yeah. No, he does not have the vid. So hopefully that just works out, and it's not the vid. It's just a small cold, and I can get over it, because I really don't want to go through that, especially this weekend, because Spider-Man comes out this weekend. So yeah. Spider.
All right.
But yeah.
That sucks, Austin. Hopefully you feel better. Hopefully, I mean, I'm not feeling anything, so you didn't get it while I was there, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably when I was at work. So he started having symptoms yesterday, so I was like, oh, yeah, I'm having the same symptoms, so I probably got it from him. Oh yeah.
Sorry you feel that. I'm going to just chill over here in not sick territory, enjoying my my not sickness,
Your freedom,
my short freedom, as I slowly but surely wind down my week, so that way I can stay at home and do what I do every week and play an obscene amount of video games, because that's what I enjoy in my life. People ask me what it is that I value for my time. It's my video games. If I die having over 300,000 hours of video games, I will die a happy man. Anyways,
yes.
pretty good day for me. Pretty good week so far. We did the little D&D one shot with you. Had a little bit of a birthday thing.
We had a little fun. It was a lot of fun. A little D&D one shot. Had a blast, and two of the people that have never, one hasn't played a good D&D session, and then the other one has never played D&D before. They both were talking my ear off all Sunday, and especially last night, Colton was talking about it, and he was like, we should do that again, like, soon. I was like, we'll have to do it sometime, but not too soon, because we got to plan it out. I want to make sure people can get there. So
yeah,
he was super stoked. So it was good. Everyone loved it. I loved it. I had a lot of fun. I laughed. We made some pretty interesting story things, and it was a lot of fun. I
made some great stories. Went on an adventure to save 4 people, got them out. They were all kind of weakened and hurt from their adventure, and so the other player just murdered them straight up.
Yeah.
So
mercy kill. An act of God.
That's what they say. That's what they say. But yeah, no, I think I had fun DMing for you. I think next time I will streamline it a little quicker. There you go. Sorry, I just wanted to lean back in my big old robe. Joy, lean back to the side, just talking like an old southern turkey. But yeah, Futurama. I'm just I'm just a mutated chicken now, but But no, I had fun. I'm glad that you did. Had fun doing all that stuff, talking with them all. That was fun. I was explaining to some of my friends about what happened in the session and how honestly pretty crazy filled it was, because my goodness, we had a wild card player in the form of my friend Josh who played with us, and it was really fun to have him around. So, but Austin, sadly enough, there's no D&D episodes in this, but Austin, this week we're doing a little fun thing for the next 2 weeks. I'm watching a new series because there are a lot of videos coming out.
Yeah.
Also, your screen, your camera broke.
Oh, my camera broke. No.
Yeah, you just. I mean, you're pausing a pretty common and easy position actually, so it's not that terrible. No, but yeah, we watched. You can go ahead and fix it. But this week, we watched The Simpsons, the Halloween specials, what most people know as the Treehouse of Horrors, episode 1 through 17. And he left. He's back. And so yeah, that's what we watched this week. Austin, if you're here,
there we go.
Okay,
there we go.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Austin, what did you think of the first 17 episodes of Treehouse of Horror? You are the Simpsons fan of us.
Yes, I've been a huge Simpsons fan since I was a kid. It was something me and my uncle shared a lot of. I remember getting off of the school bus and constantly going up to his house every time at 5 o'clock every day. I would go up and watch the episode of Simpsons with him. Unless he had something going on or something like that, and then I'd watch it at home if I could. But also too is I'd have to fight between two other brothers that wanted to watch TV, because we grew up in a very small village that didn't have a lot of things to do except for hang out with friends, the two friends that were above us. We used to have two friends below us and another friend. So TV was a thing that we watched all the time. It was very, it was analog TV. And for you kids out there that don't know what analog TV is, it's pretty much, it's an antenna that gets free channels. And we got I think 8 channels that were free.
No, we got 4, if that.
4.
It
was always
4, 6, 10,
and 28.
And then 28 possibly. 28 was a...
And 34. We got 34 all the time.
Yep, 34 was PBS.
And 51.
51 I wouldn't count. 51 was in that point where it wasn't really working until we were getting cable at that point.
Well, I think 51 was more of it was packs. That's what it was. 51 was. We weren't getting 53. 53 is the one that we wanted to get because it had WB. So it had Smallville and what was it? Animaniacs.
I mean, for
wrestling
me,
was on that channel all the time.
That's all I care about.
So, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was on that one too. So, but yeah, it was that one usually. So, so yeah, growing up, there was not a lot of select stuff. So I always I kind of fell in love with The Simpsons, where it was wow, this is actually really entertaining for me. It's animated. A kid would watch it. And then adults would watch it too. So you're oh, okay, so it's adult.
A kid would watch it. Kid wasn't supposed to watch it, Austin.
It wasn't supposed to watch it. I was not allowed to, but I still did because...
We were. Our mom and dad didn't care, but I distinctly remember a friend of the family coming by and talking with us. And then whenever Simpsons came on, we're watching it, they looked at us you shouldn't be watching this. Are your parents okay with you watching this? And I remember sitting there looking at the person being why not? It's not bad. I don't understand how it's bad. And the funny thing is looking back on it now, I don't see how it's bad either.
Nah. It was more of the thing is people have to understand. It's a dysfunctional family, but they have morals. So there is morals that are involved. I've read so many Simpsons books about, the writers and who they were. And, there was a book that I wrote called the Simpsons in the Life of Christianity. And it was pretty much a whole book about how a man and his son wouldn't get along, but they would watch The Simpsons together. And so that they would like pretty much, become like stronger in their relationship as a father and son by watching The Simpsons. So I never got the whole gist of like people being like, oh man, that's bad, you shouldn't watch it. And you're like, really? Because like Little House on the Prairie has some pretty bad things. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know.
The issue arise was because the father would inflict violence onto the son.
Yeah.
And he was drinking all the time. The only issue that people had with The Simpsons was either Homer or Bart. Never anyone else.
Yep.
And it was Homer because he would do that. And even though like it was always played with like jokes with him being like strangled, he never like hurt Bart in any like other functional way. And I think the other thing was that like Bart was supposed to be this rebellious bad kid, and people were like, he's a bad influence. And it's like there's so many bad influences, you need to just get over yourself.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, honestly, that's why we loved it more. Like,
yeah, it was more. It was entertaining. Like, it wasn't like this thing where it was like tamed. It was just like they had this ridiculous stuff that would happen, and I think some of the stories are phenomenal. I love the golden age of The Simpsons. Is still my favorite time period of The Simpsons. I still watch The Simpsons today. I haven't watched the newest season lately because it just recently came out, and then we found out that the Treehouse of Horrors has been moved till the first week of November, so we won't be able to do that one. But the thing is like growing up, it was something that I always looked forward to because I enjoyed the stories and I loved the humor that was involved. They would get like these special guests that would come on. Or, why I like Treehouse of Horror so much is because they would spoof movies and they would spoof TV shows. And it just made me laugh. It was constant laughter. And, everyone knows I'm the Simpsons fanatic because they're like, oh, why do you like The Simpsons so much? I'm like, because it's just something I've always watched. And it's something I always put on repeat. And it's like the background. It's kind of like Futurama. Same creator, but it's just background that I can watch and just be like, oh, yeah, I remember this episode. Like we were talking when you were down this weekend. I was like, I wonder if that's in like the first couple seasons was the house episode with Pierce Brosnan. And I was like, it's got to be there. And you're like, episode with Pierce Brosnan. And I was like, yeah, it's the one where like he, Marge buys a robot house and they like Pierce Brosnan falls in love with him. And he's like, oh, I never heard that one. And I was like, oh, okay. But that had Pierce Brosnan. They've had like so many different people. They've had Katy Perry. They've had multiple celebrities on this show.
Yeah, a lot of them.
When people ask me like, well, what's your favorite episode? There's always the one that I love the most and the one I watch all the time. But in reality, I think the first 8 seasons of The Simpsons are my favorite seasons. Like, they are solid, they're great. And I think my camera froze again.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even going to say nothing. I was just going to let you stay with the, is this a butterfly look?
I have no clue what's going on with this. Because on Discord, am I like, can you see me on Discord? Because like, I can see
that's the picture in Discord.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because mine looks normal, completely normal for me and you. Could be that I need to restart my computer, which that could be a thing. But the other thing that I'll say about it is these were the episodes that I knew that you would watch with me. Because I know you always talked about these episodes. You're like, yeah, I love the Treehouse of Horror episodes because it's different from the other Simpsons. The other Simpsons have like they're episodic, but they can't go outside of the realm of being too ridiculous. And this has more sci-fi, more action, and you can kind of see like them spoofing other things, and it's great. That's why I like this. So the first 17 episodes are seriously some of my favorite Treehouse of Horror episodes. They made some great ones.
Oh, and we lost him. Yeah, something's going on with his computer. Hopefully that's not a consistent thing, but something's going up. Austin, you're back. Austin, you may want to reset your Discord, like quit out Discord and then
will do.
Reload in. And then I'll just talk about my personal opinion while you head on out. So see you in a little bit. So for me, when it comes to the Treehouse of Horrors, it's funny to me that Austin says like, I'll watch these with him. I like The Simpsons. Like I can watch multiple seasons of The Simpsons and have no issues. I definitely consider The Simpsons more enjoyable to me than that of like Family Guy or something like that. I can watch Family Guy. Nowadays I have no interest. Simpsons I can at least watch and be entertained by. When it comes to like the Treehouse of Horror episodes, I think I like it for the reasons Austin said, that they're just stories. I like a good anthology is great, and that's all the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors are anthology films, and that's what makes me happy about them. And Austin says about the whole multiple like spoofs on movies. For sure, the first 17 that we watched, a good handful of them are spoofs of them. Pretty easy to tell certain ones. Like the whole he mentions it, the one with Brosnan. Hey Austin, good to hear you to come back.
Yeah.
The one with Brosnan, the house, the electronic house. That's obviously a rip on the HAL computer system from Austin Space. What was it? Was that?
Oh,
from?
It's 2000 Space Odyssey.
2000 Space. Okay, I know one of those two. I've never watched it personally, but like they did that spoof. They did Dracula with Dr. Burns, Mr. Burns. Like it is a reoccurring thing for them to make spoofs, and I enjoy it. But I have no issue with Simpsons. The issue was Austin is just like can't really do the Simpsons on this series because it's too many episodes. We could just start with the newest season and just do the newest season if they would freaking upload seasons without removing them. Because The Simpsons is a primetime show, a lot of people watch it, and so whenever it got added to streamings, a lot of the streamings have the rules where it's like we remove it after so many hours or after so many days or weeks or whatever. And I'm like, this is annoying. Why you do this, Hulu? You just gotta accept it, and there's nothing you can do. And it's a lot harder to like be like, let's watch this season of this, and be like, no, we can't. It's gone. Good luck finding them.
Yeah, Hulu likes to do that. They only keep like 2 seasons up, and that's it. And I think Disney Plus does bring the seasons out, but when they're all over. So I don't know how that works with Disney Plus and Hulu. But yeah, no, there is some really good episodes this season. Of the Treehouse of Horrors.
Treehouse of Horrors. Which I did find it funny. Me and you were talking, because I pointed out to you, I'm like, when do they start naming it Treehouse of Horrors? Because through the majority of the episodes that we watch, I think it was like episode 14 is whenever they changed the name to Treehouse of Horrors. And you start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, that was season 14 was the season of Maud's death, actually. So that's why it makes sense with this episode that is in season 14 is the episode where like Flanders is trying to get a hold of Maud.
Yeah, I can't remember. I thought that was a beginning. Yeah, that's a pilot. That's like the they always do like a beginning opening.
Yeah.
Bit. Because they never really did. Because like in the very beginning, they had where Marge would step out and be like, "Don't let your kids watch it, or you might want to skip this episode." Which of course, as a kid, was just like, "Oh, bet."
Yeah, and then there was also that episode with like the Fox sensor. I love that part where at the beginning he's like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna do that," and then it's like, "This is gonna be a rated G experience," and then the steward starts stabbing. It's like rated M, and went all 14. The way up to like death.
666, yeah, TV 666.
Yeah, but there is some really good episodes of Treehouse of Horrors, and I'll go after a couple episodes here.
Go ahead and start. It's awesome.
My favorite episode of Treehouse of Horrors will always be, and one of my favorite episodes ever is the Homer sells his soul for a donut. That is one of my favorite episodes of all time because I don't know why. Because you find out like it's the first time that they ever put Ned in a Treehouse of Horrors where he's not just Ned Flanders, he's actually the devil. And it's funny because Flanders is a Christian, very devout Christian person. So him being the devil is, kind of fun. What's great about this episode is I love some of the characters that are in this episode. And Lionel Hutz, Phil Hartman, God rest his soul, is such a great guy. Did a lot of voices for, he was Troy McClure, he was Lionel Hutz. He did so many different voices on the show. And he shows up as Lionel Hutz for, I think it was like the second time ever in the Simpsons like universe, where he was like the lawyer, because most of the other ones he was Troy McClure. But one of the best lines, and I use it all the time, is forbidden donut. I use that a lot, especially when my father-in-law loves to take me to places that have bakeries and stuff, and there will be like there was this chocolate Buckeye donut that this Amish bakery had, and I looked at him and he looked at me and I was like, forbidden donut. And he was just like, he just laughed. He didn't understand what I was saying. And then I informed him about the episode of The Simpsons. He's like, oh, that's a good. And I was like, so now once in a while when he sees a donut with me, he'll stop and look at me and be like, forbidden donuts. It's such like this thing that me and him have, and it's so good. But I like the episode too because of Blackbeard, when they hand him like the chair and he's like, all we have is a high chair. He's like, oh, this chair would be nice. And the whole lineup, the 76, what was it? The 76 Flyers.
The hockey players. Yeah.
But one of the things that I love about The Simpsons, and it's my favorite thing I love about The Simpsons, is it can make me be laughing my butt off, hilarious. But then 1 minute, it's just like, it's like reality in your face. And that episode does that, where it shows where, Homer sells his soul, eats the donut, he goes on trial, but then you find out that he already sold his soul to someone, and everyone's like, who is it? It's like, actually, it's Marge. Like he said, my soul is for you because I love you. And that's the kind of stuff I love from The Simpsons. Like, I love that impact that they have. Like, one of my an episode I think of all the time that reminds me of me and you being a brother is there's an episode where Lisa, they're trying to talk about, I think it was like Lisa's first word. That's what it was, Lisa's first word. And it's like, I think it was like season 3, episode 5 or something like that. See this is how crazy I am with that. And it's an episode where Bart is going to be a bigger brother. And Lisa is coming into this world, and when he finally meets Lisa, he doesn't like Lisa. He gets to a point where like he puts stamps all over her and tries to like mail her.
Yep.
And he's just, he's trying to like fight this urge of like not being an older brother to her, and he doesn't understand why she's getting all the love and he's not anymore because she's a baby. And he's like, you know what? I don't need you. I don't need this family. I'm just gonna get out of here. I don't need anyone. I'm going to run away. And when he's about to walk out the door, Lisa says, Bart, for the first time, and that's her word. Bart, 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 and he's like, she said her first word and it's mine. Why would she say that? And Marge like replies and says, because she looks up to you and she loves you. And then Homer comes in and says, can you say daddy? And she goes, Homer. And he's like, no, daddy. So it's that whole running gag with that. But The Simpsons have been so part of my life that like, I think of those episodes a lot, and Treehouse of Horrors is like that. I think of that forbidden donut all the time. I also remember, one of my other favorite episodes of this season is actually the Dracula one with Mr. Burns, because it was a whole tale on the 1990s version of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it was in a movie, and it was pretty much the same concept of the movie with Keanu Reeves, which I thought was pretty funny. But one of the things I remember, the best quote from that whole thing is the slide lever.
Oh, with Bart.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, when will I ever do this again?
Yeah. And then later Homer does it. He's like, oh, I want to do it.
Oh yeah, he gets yelled at.
Jokes, yeah, those jokes come back around. It's so good. And then the Shining episode, but they call it the Shinning. And he's like, shh, boy, you don't want to get sued. There's just some really good episodes in the first 17 of those. And I was really happy that we did this because I really enjoy The Simpsons. And I love the Treehouse of Horror episodes because they're just fun and ridiculous. One of the other lines I quote is the episode where the two aliens, Kang and Kudus, decide to abduct Bob Dole and Bill Clinton. And for people that are younger in our generation doesn't know who Bob Dole is, and Bob Dole really just talked about himself. He would always like refrain himself. What is it? Is that third person? How he says he's like, what Bob Dole's gonna do is what Bob Dole's gonna do. He would be like that, and he'd talk that way, and people were just like weirded out about it. But the end of that episode, when like he's getting whipped, and Homer looks over and she goes, "Ow, our world has gone to the end of this," and Homer's like, "Don't blame me. I voted for Kudos." And when the 2016 election happened, I remember putting up on my Facebook, "Don't blame me. I voted for Kudos," and everyone just the people that were Simpsons fans were like, "This is good," and then some other people's like, "We don't understand." And you're like, "Yeah, you don't have to because you're not a Simpson fan like I am." But it was just so funny that I reference The Simpsons all the time. It's a fun thing. I don't know why. It's just a comfort. It's like Steven Universe for you in a way. Like this is my Steven Universe where it's like it made me who I am today because there is some good morals in this show. But yeah, now I'm getting on a tangent of just The Simpsons itself instead of Treehouse of Horrors. But what were the episodes that stuck out to you though? That's what I want to know. Like because I've watched these episodes so many times, and I can go on and on and on about The Simpsons, but I want to know, was there any episodes where you're like, this is a good episode, I like it? So
I was just gonna let you go, man. You long diverted off of the Treehouse of Horrors and was just talking about The Simpsons itself for a bit, and I was gonna let you go because I'm like, yeah, no, you like The Simpsons and you can go off of it, and I have no issue just sitting here and listen to you. No, it was fun. Like these first 17 episodes, I definitely remember a lot of them from my childhood, or at least remember certain ones. You mentioned the Forbidden Donut. I see that all the time. It's a pretty popular one, so I never like particularly looked at it and was like, yes, this one. I love this one. I see it all the time. The one that actually I was watching and I was like, this is a classic, was the Bart episode where they find out Bart has a twin brother that is hidden.
Yeah.
I remember watching that when I was little and actually being kind of freaked out because that's like, I don't know, like it's weird, this concept of people hiding kids from you for your whole life. Yeah. And then being like, oh no, and then at the end where it's revealed that Bart's actually the evil twin, I remember watching it and being like, yeah, that makes sense. Who goes the super nice person, then Bart's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember that. I remember the Burns' Dracula episode. I remember the whole Krusty doll trying to kill him. Oh, and then also the other big one is the billboards coming alive. Like the advertisements coming alive. I remember seeing that and being like, that very concept is cool to me. And I remember like when I was little growing up, I would constantly have I don't know, I would space out, I guess is what I would call it, like at certain things or at events or things like that. And my space out would lead me to like make believe or fantasizing about like knights, squires, or whatnot in the environment we were in. And I remember going to like pirate games or like Cincinnati Reds, and they would have like the big pirate head on the billboard, and I would just remember I remember like make believing that there was like soldiers all around shooting and fighting each other, Meanwhile, the big head comes alive and they have to fight that. Like, that was my brain because of that episode. I thought about that a lot.
Oh yeah.
And so like that episode was really iconic to me. I will say there was a point in watching these that I think it was the I want to say it's like the Harry Potter like episode where Lisa's super good at magic. I was watching that, I'm like, I don't remember this at all.
Yeah.
I don't recognize this whole episode.
Really?
And whenever I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's 13, like that's season 13. I'm like, I don't know when that took place, like when that come out. I have no recollection of that. No concept. Meanwhile, the episode right after, I remember that episode. So I'm like, I guess I just wasn't lucky with seeing that season of Treehouse of Horror.
Well, yeah, and also too is at that point, you know, when you're watching our television, the analog television, it was sporadic. It never really had. We never really got to watch The Simpsons like the night of. It was always at 5 p.m. weekdays, and so like it would just show random clips. So we didn't know which ones were from which season or whatever like that. So it was interesting to, you know, and then I started collecting them. Like I started buying those seasons because I wanted to watch them. And I remember you watching a couple with me. We actually have watched, when I used to live at Vine Street, you watched a couple seasons with me. I remember where we just like hung out and just played games and we did that. So that makes sense. But that, the Harry Potter one, is from the Harry Potter series. They're making fun of that. But I remember the only thing that I remember from that episode is just the frog that Bart makes. Like Bart makes that frog and it's like, please kill me. So there was a game that me and you have played before, and it was called Simpsons Tap Out, and it was on your phone, and it's still available now. Really? But during the Halloween seasons, they would have like Halloween specials, and one of them was collect all these certain things and you would get the toad. So then when you clicked on the toad, it'd be like, just kill me. And then I remember the toad from that episode, so I'll always remember that part of that episode. But yeah, because you know there's some very interesting episodes in the first 17. You know, there's some great episodes, really good episodes. You know, there was ones that I forgot all about. I forgot about Homer being deaf. I forgot all about that episode. I didn't expect that episode at all. I was like, oh man, I forgot that he kills Death. Because also too, you know, Family Guy did that too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was watching this. I'm like, did this come out before or after Family Guy?
It had to be after, I think. I think it was after.
I have no idea. I just remember the Death one happening in early season, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, man, they missed the opportunity if this came out after Family Guy for them to get Norman to do the voice of Death again, because I remember him being the death of Norman in the Family Guy one. But yeah, I know that episode I thought was pretty entertaining. With him going around and like kill off all those people indiscriminately, and the fact that the one old guy knew who Death was. He's like, oh, where's Doug? He's like, I'm the new Grim Reaper. Oh, I like Doug. I was like, how many times has this guy died? I mean, I've seen him die all the time. And the one thing I will also say about that episode, I think that was the first episode where the different episodes of Treehouse of Horror actually referenced each other. Because in the one after that one, Homer mentions whenever the one guy was going around collecting and taking brains, the one scientist dude's head, Homer says passively, man, I wish I could become Death again. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Normally they all just kind of are self-contained and they don't try to sit there and connect them or anything, but that was actually connected. That one existed, and Homer legitly did that in that universe, and that made me laugh. So yeah, I don't know. The Treehouse of Horrors I do like because they're anthologies. They're shorts. I like shorts. I like this. I will also say this: rewatching, I'm like, I think this is one of the reasons why I enjoy Adventure Time so much as an adult, is because even though this show like the how do I say this? Even though the episodes of Treehouse of Horrors are not canon, they're just stories and everything done up. I still felt like at the end of each episode, they relatively wrap up in a way that aren't absolutely everything's dead, everything's gone. In some of them, so there's a couple of them where like, oh hey, Homer caused a nuclear holocaust and everyone's dead and they don't want to set the world on fire, and it's like that's solid. But then there's other episodes where it's just like, hey, we're okay, you know? Oh no, I didn't kill the lead vampire. Oh no, it's Marge this whole time. And then they sing Christmas song. And that's kind of how I kind of viewed Adventure Time whenever I was watching it, like in high school and college. Was it's like the craziness of the show felt random at some times, but at the end of the day, it was like everything's okay. Is there still a horse riding a beach ball around here? Yeah, we're not going to talk about it outside of that episode. No one's going to say nothing.
Yeah, there's some episodes that are kind of like that, where they're just like, there were some episodes that terrified me or scarred me as a child. Like we actually talked about one. Yeah. We talked about one where the gas and their bodies go inside out, and it was like
that. I remember
traumatizing
being
when I was a kid.
Out. Yeah, I remember that being freaked out for the fact that as they're dancing, they start bleeding everywhere.
Bleeding blood, yeah.
That's what freaked me out.
It's like I was also talking like this weekend about the episode where the dolphins take back the land.
Yeah, yeah.
And the part where Willie is just sitting there cleaning the windows, and I didn't expect it as a kid, like the dolphin to come through Willie's chest. And it's like, ah, and I was like, whoa, dolphins kill people. Like, I didn't expect that. And it kind of freaked me out for a while. I was really scared of dolphins for a hot minute.
No, and that's 100% reasonable too, because like that episode was pretty intense. I'm trying to think of what other Treehouse of Horrors freaked me out, because a lot of them are pretty I guess tamed on the actual horror side.
Yeah.
And a lot of the quote unquote horror that they do in these episodes are much more on the line of like, oh, you feel bad because it's like psychological horror,
Yeah, and the other thing is there's one episode that I've been wanting to see if you what'd you think of it, was the Sherlock Holmes episode.
I liked it for the fact that it was Sherlock Holmes. I'm just a Sherlock Holmes fan.
Yeah.
I did find it funny. I was watching it, and the first thing that came to my mind, I'm like, it's going to be someone who doesn't have mutton chops.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thing where it's like it gets revealed later. It's like, oh, surprise, surprised. The ending, it's like you can't do a mystery thing with the ending being that the boy wakes up and they're in a dream, and it's like, don't do this to me, man. Like, fulfill it. I still enjoyed it. I knew Homer was going to be found, like, not found, but expected to be the killer because he had mutton chops. And the instant that the killer in the very beginning is just like, oh, you have some beautiful mutton chops, and then he kills. I'm like, the fact that they're pointing to the mutton chops as the defining feature means it's going to be someone without mutton chops. Or they're going to do the biggest slash around and just introduce a character last second who does not exist in the regular universe of the Simpsons, and it's just like, I'm the mutton chop killer, and then everyone would be like, oh, it's blah blah blah, and you'd be like, no one would know. No one would be able to guess that because you just made up a character for this episode. That's not fair. But no, they did the whole reveal. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I still enjoy it. I like a good Sherlock Holmes spoof episode. So I enjoyed it. I think one of my favorite entertaining ones, I don't know which one it was, but it's the one where it's Barge and Lisa are going through all the different fairy tale ones.
Oh,
Because they
yeah,
get kicked out, and then later Marge is like, "You sent our kids out in the forest. Get them back. We can sell them."
it was the candy house and the witch.
Yeah, and then Homer breaks in. They're like, "Dad, I knew you would rescue us. Rescue you. Fill myself up on sugar, on bread, on sweets. Same thing."
I always like the part of that episode. The two parts that I love about that episode is when the witch like throws his head into the oven.
He's like, "Ooh, fish.
Ooh, fish. Wait, that's me." You know?
Uh-huh.
And then the ending where she was like, "It's Mike Cauldron," and he's like, "Mike Cauldron? What is he? Got like a brother named Mike Potts?" You know, and they start laughing at the end. It's like, "Is Vanessa ready?" And he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm John Cauldron." And he's like, "Yes."
Take her to the show. What is she ready? She'll be ready in 20 minutes. Oh, but the play is at 8.
I love that part of the episode.
Also, the ending where they're just like, "Oh, we'll never go hungry," because Homer's still half chicken. Yeah, and he just pops out
coming right up. Yeah, I know.
I remember thinking about that.
Yeah, and then Lucy Law was in this season. She was in the episode with Comic Book Guy when they became superheroes.
Oh, is that who plays Xena?
Yeah, Lucy Law. Okay. And then Tom Arnold was in the season 2. He was the one that was like going on the reject jet that was going to hit in the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Tom Arnold. A lot of people think he's nuts and crazy, which he is.
Yeah, he is. So, what can you say? What can you do?
Yeah, there were some solid ones. I will never forget the Treehouse of Horrors. There's always those ones that will be always embedded in the back of my head. The Hugo one will always be that one, just because that did terrify me. Like we just talked about that. It terrified me. Like it was really well done when I was a child. Like I was like, ooh, creepy. You know. So yeah.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
I don't know. I find a lot of the episodes pretty entertaining. I feel like some of them
weren't scary. They're not.
No. They're definitely not. Like, especially the second one where it's like Bart who has like powers, and he magically forces people to do stuff. I'm like, this isn't really a scary concept, especially since you tend to kind of like side on Bart's side. But the other thing that got me, like, made me kind of think about it as well, was the episode with the stop clock with Milhouse and Bart. I was like, man, these people, like, whenever the mayor's like, and we made the room covered in special power to figure out who these kids are, and then he activates it. And I'm like, that power would be everywhere. It just wouldn't lead back to them. That would be impossible to see. Also, why wouldn't they hear this and activate it upon hearing that and then proceed to walk everywhere? Like, this doesn't make sense, but what can you do? They have to hurry up the story. It's only a 5-10 minute story in a 30-minute long show. So that's all good. I think what I'm going to be excited for next our next episode, Austin, is watching the ones that I haven't seen, because I kind of stopped watching The Simpsons after honestly, once we got into high school. Whenever we got cables, whenever I stopped even watching, because I was only watching it because of it was the only thing on TV. And then after we got into college, like high school, I was in high school, we got cable, and oh boy did I just watch cable the whole time. Cartoon Network, channel 176 for our place. Like, I had that memorized. I still remember it. So I think it's going to be fun for next week to be able to sit here and talk about some of the episodes that I'm like, yeah, I really like this one, or this one I didn't really like, and just to know your kind of perception on those.
We'll actually get to see the Death Note episode.
I remember watching that already. I definitely watched the Death Note one because I'm a fan of anime, and I have friends who are fan of anime. So when that came out, my whole Facebook, YouTube, all these recommendations were just being thrown at me, being like, The Simpsons and Death Note, you gotta check it out. It's actually really well done. Like, okay, cool, I'll watch it. So I did.
Yeah.
So, no, it'll definitely be fun for next week to do it. And I guess the Death Note one is the last one because we have not seen this one.
The
comes
newest
out
one, November 5th. If I'm correct.
Makes sense. Which I did laugh how one of the intros began with the aliens. The one alien complained that they're still doing Treehouse of Horrors in November, or no, in December. Or it was either in November or December.
It's November.
It was November.
It's like, this is after Halloween. We've already set up our Christmas decorations. Yeah, that's a lot of people actually complained because that happened a year before, actually, and they started switching them to after Halloween, and people are like, why are you doing that? It ruins the whole fun of that because people like to sit down the Sunday before Halloween and watch Treehouse Horrors episode. And I think it switched, and I think it's the same now. It's been the same for, I think like 12 seasons, something like that. And but sometimes it also would switch from time to time because how Halloween is set up sometimes. So yeah.
I was looking to see if I was checking to see if maybe that season happened during the writer's strike, and that's why it came out late, was because like, oh, we have writer's strike, and so we pushed it back. But nope, that's not it. So all right, well, we'll get to see, and that'll be fun to do.
Yeah.
Austin, do you have any last things you want to say about Treehouse of Horror for this series?
Nope. I love The Simpsons. I love everything that they usually do. So, and there is actually, these episodes, I haven't watched these on repeat as much. So there's probably gonna be a couple episodes that I forgot about. So yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm super excited.
No, I think this will be fun, and I've been enjoying watching them during work because with them all being on Disney Plus, I can just pop and go to the next. And not have to worry about Hulu not working at work for some reason. So, all right, Austin. I think that basically does it for this episode of Bros and Shows, our Halloween episode part 2.
Yes.
Which next week we do 18 through 34.
Yeah.
They're not very long, so that's basically a second season. So awesome. Yeah. I appreciate you stopping by, joining me on this episode. I enjoy you freezing up occasionally. That was fun. And to everyone who stopped by and joined us, thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in.